I'm here to talk about a framework to discover and enforce normal application behavior, that is, social norms. Why do we have social norms as human beings? Why are they important? First off, it's easy to recognize deviant behavior, for one. And at the same time, it enables us to block deviant behavior before it is too late and prevent loss or damage. So what are they? Social norms are the accepted patterns of behavior in a particular context. It's the context that is key to decide if something is abnormal and block it. So what goes into the context? Who you are is one part of it. Children playing with toys is normal, but adults, not so much. And not unless you're Tom Hanks, I guess. Where is another key part of it. It's normal for us here in the US to be driving on the right, but in the UK and several other places, it's normal to drive on the left side of the road. Time is another key part of the context that decides if something is normal. This is something that most of us can relate to, especially in my case, the one on the right. And lastly, how you get there is very key to decide if it is normal. Notice that there are differences in the behaviors in these different contexts, but there is a commonality to what is normal. In other words, social norms are simple, meaning correct, and universal, means it applies to all. So the question is, do applications have such norms? In other words, is there a measurable simplicity and universality to application normal behavior? Hi, I'm Shri. I've worked in building and managing applications for over 15 years, and I say yes, there are such norms to application normal behavior. We all know that applications are built differently and they do very different things. But one thing I realized is that the underlying transaction models are common and universal. Let's look at what a normal application behavior looks like. A user placing a purchase transaction. The request flows through these pattern of events, and then you get a response. And it does this every time, each time, no matter how many times you do it. These are 4 fundamental transaction models that all applications are designed to use. Uniprocess, multiprocess, multi-thread, and microservices, the more recent event-driven architectures. We talked about the models. This is a snapshot of an actual application transaction flow grouped by the transaction types. And you'll see that the normal flow goes through these well-defined sequence of events from request to response. And when you follow the transaction from request to response this way, you have the runtime transaction context with who, where, when, and how at each of these steps. So let's see how we can make use of this. These are 2 recent breach incidents where in the case of eBay, it was a deviant employee access that you could recognize and also block before the breach. And in the case of Anthem, it was an off working hour access that was deviant. And in these 2 other cases, it was similarly where and how that were deviant. And you're able to, with this approach, recognize and block and prevent the breach. So finally, here's a question that I would like to leave you with. Applications are moving to the cloud. Are your current defenses fast enough to respond to the threats that they face? Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you.